One other question on the vortex. You had said, get in the vortex and bring a question in. If it spits you out, go back in, spits you out, go back in until I think of it in a certain way that I've remain in the vortex. And I've done that. And recently, when I go into the vortex, I've noticed that I'm getting more senses. I was able to smell in it the other day, and I have different sensations in there. I normally bring a question into the vortex with me and just expect an answer to show up at some point, sometime in my life. Well, this time when I went in, all the questions were erased and I was just in there. And then I'm in this reality and I'm poking around. And you had a segment once where her woman's son had committed suicide and he was on the other side. And he's like, I feel so busy. There's so many things to do. And that's the feeling I had, that I almost really wanted to poke around and see what's in there. And I really had no interest on what's
Now we got to talk about this vortex, because you have done us a very honorable service by making this vortex realer than we've ever meant for it to be. When you talk about, I go into the vortex, so we want to talk about this in the way that we mean it.
Okay.
Of course, when we draw this spot on the floor and we step into it, you know that there's not really a vortex there. In other words, the analogy of the vortex is to help you to integrate the bigness of the non-physical, vibrationally energy you with the physical flesh, blood, and bone you that you recognize. It's to help you to understand. For a while, someone made reference to the stream. We're talking about upstream and downstream. We, in our wanting you to feel the integration between all that you are, not just who you are in this personality in this lifetime, we're talking about who you were before you came into this body and who you are as you explore in this body, and how out of that contrasting exploration comes new and improved vibrational ideas of what more you would prefer. So as these vibrations or ideas or thoughts or desires or goals, you can call them anything you want, bounce out of you, they create a vibrational environment that the source within you resonates with immediately. In other words, when you know that you want something as a result of the life that you've been living, the source within you becomes the vibrational, emotional equivalent of what you've asked for. So if you don't have enough money and you ask for more money, whether you use words or not, the source within you feels more prosperous as a result of the details that you lived than it felt before you lived those details that caused you to ask for more. When you are sick and you launch, whether you use words or not, a rocket of desire that's more specific than it's ever been before, the source within you feels infinitely more well, more vital, more alive, more frisky, more physically focused, more well-being than it felt before you had the specific experience that caused you to ask for that. So there is a vibrational version of you that is expanding and becoming, and it is that vibrational version of you that is the equivalent of the vortex that we are talking about. And as we said earlier today, first time that we've said it, that causes you to achieve a point of attraction. The source within you achieves a point of attraction because of life and work you've done here in this physical body that could not have been achieved if it were not for you in your physical focus and your willingness to explore the contrast in order to ask for something more than something more and something specific on a myriad of subjects that you've ever asked for before. So you, through your partnership with the source within you, cause the source within you to expand and achieve a stronger, more powerful, infinitely more satisfying point of attraction that has ever happened before. And the cooperative components, because of law of attraction, are swirling around that, and it is a raucous, exhilarating, delicious, expansive ride for inner being. Source is reveling in the expansion that you have caused. That's the vortex. Now, that vortex is spinning and calling and spinning and calling and spinning and calling, because as we said to someone earlier, you launched the rocket. Nobody else is going to take it. Nobody can swoop in and suck out the benefit of your vortex. It's yours. You put it there. Your inner being is there, tending it, being it, knowing it, being it, calling you to it, calling you to it, calling you to it. And when you let go of what you're clinging to, which is the only thing that keeps you from being drawn into it, you have the rush, the feeling of expansion as you move into it, and the exhilaration of knowing and being and feeling as your inner being feels. That's what the vortex is. People call it inspiration. People call it passion. People call it being in love. People call it clarity. In other words, the vortex is a vibrational state of being, which is the furthest most expansion that you have achieved. But here's the bottom line in all of this. Once life causes you to give birth to that expansion, your relationship to it in your physical time-space reality, what you're allowing because of the thoughts you're thinking, allowing or disallowing, equals how you feel in your body. So when you say, I was in my vortex, we take that to mean I was offering, for the time that I claimed to be in the vortex, no resistance, so that the fullness of me was able to draw me in as a cooperative component. And as I hang around in the vortex more, it mutates from a feeling experience where I'm just blissed out, a feeling experience where I can't see anything or hear anything or smell anything or taste anything or touch anything. I just feel good when I'm there, sort of like meditation feels. To being actively alive and vividly integrated into the world, where law of attraction is bringing me vivid representation of the pure positive energy stance that I have achieved by getting there and practicing it, getting there and practicing it, getting there and milking it, getting there and being it. Until now, I'm integrated with it much of the time, moving in my body, having manifestations from inside the vortex. We want to come back around to this, to something really important. You are a physical person in a physical world, and manifestations matter. Manifestations matter. That's why goals feel important. That's why creating things in your time-space reality feels important. And your inner being is not separate from that intention, from that goal, from that lifestyle, from that desire. So the first step is to understand that the vortex is a reality. The second step is to emotionally jive with it as much as you can. But then there are so many steps after that where, from that steady vantage point, manifestations begin to mimic the vibration of the vortex. And so, as we talk with you, we represent non-physical. We represent the in the vortex gang that you are all associated with. But all of us adore riding in your fast car. All of us adore your sexual interactions. All of us adore eating those delicious meals. All of us adore those ideas that occur to you and the fruition. All of us adore the encounters you have with one another and the playing off. All of us adore being in that canoe. All of us adore being on those skis. All of us adore fishing on the river. In other words, the source within you is out here on the leading edge with you, you see. And so when you are allowing yourself the most joyful of your life experience, that's when we're fishing, we're canoeing, we're yodeling down the canyons of your world. We're having all of that. But when you join us in it, that's when the full integration of the vortex takes place.
Well,
You're following?
Yeah, I have noticed that.
You are following?
Yeah. When I'm pulling out of the details of my life, everything that I've been asking, I see shows up. That when I feel I'm getting too integrated and trying to make it happen, it's not happening. And now that I've been pulling out, I notice things.
So the dance that we're trying to help you to dance is because a lot of people, we say, so you create your own reality, and they say, oh, good. And then they say, oh, damn. Because it feels like a lot of responsibility. And then we say, you get what you think about. And then you say, well, I'm really in trouble. And then you begin to guide your thoughts because you care about how you feel more deliberately, and you begin to feel better. And we say, now you're beginning to get the hang of it. But the thing that we're emphasizing here is that we want you to feel the full-blown intention that you had as source energy coming into a physical body to be a manifester of experiences. In other words, you didn't come here to meditate into this soft, diffused state. You came to meditate into the soft, diffused state in order to hook up with the energy so that you could utilize the energy that creates worlds and flow it toward anything that is important to you. You intended an expansive, deliberate, robust, physical experience where you're integrating all of that wonderful stuff with it. And that's what you're beginning to taste as you go into a place that is designed for play, and you say, there's so much of this that I would like to experience. That's your inner being who's already playfully experiencing all of that, you see. We want you to get to the place where play and work feel like the same thing, because it's all about focus. We want you to get to the place, and this is the most important piece for you to hear and feel and know, is that progress and expansion and fulfilling of one's purpose for being here is not about struggle and sacrifice and hard work. It's about allowing. It's about loving yourself enough to let the universe pamper you and cater to you in the way it has the ability to do. You see, we want to convince you that you're worthy enough, that the mere thought that you would like something is enough that should ensure the receiving of it. And any of you who don't believe that have been trained by a society who believes in struggle, you see. You should be able to identify something as your desire and find vibrational resonance with it, and then you should just bask as the universe knocks itself out to deliver it to you in endless ways.
So all those passions and desires I've had,
Say again?
all those passions and desires I've had when I was very driven and focused on where I see myself going and having a life where work and joy and passion.
We have a question for you. Were you driven or were you called?
Actually, called is a good word, because I was feeling an inner calling.
Yes, and so there's a big difference in the two, though. Driven sounds like standing out there in a determined way and proving my worthiness. Called is claiming the worthiness that I never had to justify to begin with. And so when you show up in that sporting goods store and you feel exhilarated for a little while, that's being called. When you start feeling guilty, now you're driving yourself.
Okay.
So work it out.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Further back, yes. Having a good time today? Getting a clearer understanding of what the vortex is? Understanding vibration in a better way than you ever have before? Understanding your point of attraction better? Understanding that it is an emotional journey? Understanding that emotion is a manifestation? Understanding that emotion is a manifestation that you can achieve right now, and that if you're willing to go for the manifestation that you can achieve right now on a regular basis, that you're in the vortex enough that the other manifestations must flesh out in all kinds of ways? Yes?